Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. Whenever you're hearing this, I should say morning. Could be any time, I guess. Well, this is the week of Thanksgiving, a time when we all possibly can indulge and think of those who can't, who do not have that celebration in their life because of their poverty or other issues like that. So just keep that in mind in our prayers. But it is a fun time. It is a time of being with friends and family, and being with other people, maybe being somebody brand new. It's always exciting in that sense. Well, it's full of all kind of hams and turkeys that are being fought over at the store, and some are even trying to get reservations at a restaurant, possibly at kind of a short cook to cooking in that sense. I came across a little article, really kind of funny actually, suggestion on what to do with your turkey if you overcook it. I thought it was kind of good. It's entitled "You Burnt the Bird," is the question. So here's a silver lining to this burning question, pardon the pun, and a dozen reasons to be thankful if you burn the bird. Number one, salmonella won't be a concern. No one will overeat. Everyone will think it's Cajun blackened. I like that one. Uninvited guests will think twice next year. And your cheese, broccoli, lima bean casserole will gain newfound appreciation. Pets won't pester you for scraps. The smoke alarm was due to be tested anyway. Carving the bird will provide a good cardiovascular workout. After dinner, the guys can take the bird outside and play football. The less turkey Uncle George eats, the less likely he'll walk around with his pants unbuttoned. You'll get to the desserts faster. And lastly, you won't have to face 3 weeks of turkey sandwiches. Those are all good reasons why you can have a silver lining on burning the bird. I think that's kind of funny. Now, several of you have asked a couple times here recently that if you'd like to have a copy of that parable I used a couple years ago about Thanksgiving. So I have brought it back to share with you. It's a great story and has a powerful message to remind us on what the celebration of Thanksgiving is really all about. So let me start the beautiful story and see if you remember it. Behold, in a great city lived a man. For all the years of his life he had worked hard, and when the years had come upon him in number, he had accumulated great possessions. But the man loved God and gave liberally to the poor. And it came to pass that as the season of giving thanks was upon the land, the man called together the people and said, "Let us make a service of thanksgiving, each man according to as he is able. Let's express to God our gladness for the bountiful way he has provided for us. Before feasting, though, let us give thanks." Yet even as the man so blessed was speaking, another man stood to his feet. "O mighty one, it is easy for you to say, 'Let us express to God our gladness for the bountiful way he has provided for us.' I cannot say such a thing. God has not provided for me bountifully. He has scarcely provided for me at all. The money changers own my house. The collectors of taxes hound me. I have nothing to call my own. How can I give thanks?" Well, behold, the rich man looked at the one who had nothing to be thankful for, and in his heart grew a great compassion for this man. Many times he had shared with the other man, but now he wished to give him more of his possessions. If only he could give him confidence in himself, encouragement, hope, and God. "Well, sir, let me plan our service of thanksgiving. And to you I say, bring your family. When it comes time to give thanks, I will offer you half of all my riches, if you'll give me half of your riches." The people gasped, but a smile crossed the discontented features of the poor man. Not what he had to lose, but oh, how much he had to gain. So he opened his eyes wide. "I'll do as you say." And it came to pass that the day of thanksgiving was upon the people. There was a great rejoicing throughout the land. God had been good, and it was time of feasting. Many were the expression of gratefulness of the love and mercy of the Heavenly Father. But none was so glad as the poor man and his family, for this day they would be rich. They would leave the service of thanksgiving as owners of half the rich man's worldly possessions. No longer would their home be filled with worry each day with tax collectors or moneylenders if they came about. Every good thing would fill walls of their house. Nay, they would sell their little house and buy a mansion, such as the rich man owned. They would purchase the fanciest of chariots without worry of fodder in the days to come. Then they would be thankful. Well, let me finish the story shortly, leave you a little cliffhanger there if you don't remember it. But let's take a moment to truly understand our thankfulness. I want to read from the book of John, the 6th chapter, 25th verse, and listen to this beautiful moment in ministry of Jesus as he taught his disciples, and act as if and feel like that you're right there and he's talking right to you. And this is what he said. When they found him on the other side of the lake, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you get here? And Jesus replied, I tell you the solemn truth. You are looking for me not because you saw miraculous signs, but because you ate all the loaves of bread you wanted. Do not work for the food that disappears, but for the food that remains to eternal life, the food which the Son of God will give to you. For God the Father has put his seal of approval on him. So then they said to him, What must we do to accomplish the deeds God requires? And Jesus replied, This is the deed. God requires to believe in the one whom he sent. So they said to him, Then what miraculous sign will you perform so that we may see it and believe in you? What will you do? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, just as written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. And then Jesus told them, I tell you the solemn truth. It is not Moses who had given you the bread from heaven, but my Father is giving you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. So they said to him, Well, sir, give us this bread all the time. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. The one who comes to me will never go hungry, and the one who believes in me will never be thirsty. Isn't that a wonderful story? The bread of life. Now, in life, I've learned that the trouble with receiving something on a regular basis is hard for me. Is that we come to expect it. This is the biggest problem in the world today, I think. We have been so blessed to live in a land of plenty, and as a result, we have become increasingly unwilling to give thanks to anyone for anything. It's just difficult we take it for granted. How often do people not acknowledge a niceness we do, such as opening a door even, a small thing like that, or allowing someone to merge in front of us in traffic, or just actually not even smiling back at us when we smile at them with kindness and pleasantry. People just take it for granted and go about their life. Now, in our text today, we find the crowd questioning Jesus about how he is going to prove himself. And they ask this again after feeding 5,000 people. He just fed 5,000 and with a few loaves of bread and fish that had their need for food, and Jesus saw the need and met the need. They had followed Jesus all the way across the lake, and rather than recognizing the fact that they were being offered the solution to real need in their life, they were asking yet again to have their need met, just wanting more. And Jesus reminded them of the importance of what he was offering them through his teaching, and then he continues to teach them through his ability to meet their need for food. He gave them food, and in the midst of that, he gave them the word of life. When the masses demanded food, he reminded them of the fact that he was directing them to the spiritual food, and through his teaching about heaven. When these Jewish listeners were trying to grasp what he was teaching them, he made an historical connection for them by referring back to the manna that God provided from heaven for the Israelites when they were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. Again, showing that God had met their needs when they needed it, Jesus turned the discussion to things of spiritual nature. When they asked him to provide this food for them, he then told them that he is the bread of life. If they would just believe in Jesus, they would never be hungry. At least not in the things of eternal significance, anyway. You know, we've been blessed by God in so many ways that we can't even count them all. Many people are a lot like the people in our text today. They want Jesus to give them one more thing, give them one more demonstration of power to fall prey to the weakness of our faith. That's what we're asking, really. It's almost as if they were viewing Jesus' ministry as a magic show, and they weren't satisfied with the things that he had already done. They wanted another demonstration of this power, so then they would believe. And that would probably lead to another demonstration, and then another demonstration. They would never be satisfied. It is well past time for us to show our gratitude to him for the gifts that he has already given to us. Maybe you aren't feeling too blessed today. Maybe you can't see the gifts that God has given you. Maybe the pain of life has overwhelmed you to the point that where you don't see how blessed you truly are. And like so many people, maybe you have turned and you have been asked to be blessed again. Though even these blessings are still upon you already, but they just don't look good anymore. We need to recognize that God's blessings and give thanks to him even when it seems impossible to do so. I want to encourage each one of you today to recognize the blessings that you've taken for granted, not the obvious things. I want us to focus on what we have rather than on what you don't have, and see if you don't improve our attitude about it. I have a few suggestions for you how to do this. Be thankful that you don't already have everything you want, because if you did, what would there be to look forward to? Be thankful when you don't know something. This gives you the opportunity to learn something new. Be thankful for difficult times, because it's during these times that you grow. Be thankful for your limitations, because they give you opportunities for improvement. Be thankful for each new challenge, because it will bring you better strength and better character. Be thankful for your mistakes. They'll teach you valuable lessons. And be thankful when you're tired and weary, because it means that you've made a difference somewhere and somehow. It's so easy to be thankful for good things, but a life of true fulfillment can come to those who are thankful for the setbacks. As hard as it may be, find a way to be thankful for our troubles, and they can become our blessings because we're thankful for them, because our attitude changes. Now, a true story was told to me not too long ago, and it was a Thanksgiving season in a nursing home. I think this is really funny, but it's insightful too. The small resident population of this nursing home was gathered around their humble Thanksgiving table, and the director asked each in turn to express one thing for what they were thankful for. Thanks were expressed for a home, for family, for things they owned, whatever it may be, a lot of things like that. But one little old lady, in her turn, said this: "I thank the Lord for 2 perfectly good teeth, one in my upper jaw and one in my lower jaw that match so that I can chew my food." That's amusing, but yet it's very insightful. Just 2 teeth, but the teeth provided something she could do. She didn't reminisce saying, "Oh, I wish I had more teeth." She was thankful for what she had. We've been given the bread of life. We know that this bread and have had all our lasting hunger satisfied, now that we're truly thankful to God for who deserves our thanksgiving. So let us finish our parable of where to find the poor man. The story ends, and his family expecting riches and blessings that will make their life comfortable for the rest of their life, when the rich man gives them half their possessions. So let's continue the story. Lo, the service was almost over. The great God of the harvest must have smiled at the people's praise and joy. Then it was time. Only the rich man and the poor man had yet to give thanks. The rich man stood to his feet. "Good friends, this day is a day of rejoicing. All of you know my brother has agreed to barter. He will give me half of what he possesses. I, in turn, will give him half of what I possess. Has it not been agreed?" "Aye," said the voices 100 strong, but none was saying yes so loudly as that poor man. "Well, then let it be so." The rich man stood facing the poor man. "This day have the doctors and physicians made known to me that one of my legs is no longer healthy. Sir, you have 2 legs. I pray that you'll give me one of them." Oh, a ripple of shock went throughout the people, but the poor man could only stare. "My leg? You want one of my legs? But I can't give away my leg. What madness is this to ask?" No one saw the little smile creep into the carefully hidden eyes of the rich man. "Oh, so be it. I will forgive you on this one point." He turned and pointed to the 2 stripling lads who accompanied the poor man and his wife. Twin boys, healthy, bright, and pleasant to look upon. "God has denied children to my wife and me. Give me one of your sons. You have 2. I will take him and raise him as my own. He'll possess all that I've accumulated. Come, which will it be?" The poor man gazed at his sons. Given one of them away? He thought of how they laughed and tumbled together. He thought of the merriness in their home, although it was rude and humble. Give away one of his sons, part of his own body? For a moment his vision of a mansion, a chariot, and all that went with it lingered in his mind. Then he faced the rich man. "I can never give away my son." The rich man persisted, although the twinkle in his eye grew bigger and brighter. "But what of our bargain? Half of what we possess. That was the arrangement, sir. Claim one of your sons." Behold, the man drew himself with dignity. "Not for all half of the possessions, not for all the possessions would I give away my son." Behold, the sound of laughter rang throughout that assembly. The rich man could no longer hold back his mirth. "And you have nothing for which to be thankful?" He laughed again, and a reluctant smile began to creep into the face of the other man. "I say unto you, sir, with 2 strong legs, 2 beautiful sons, you're richer by far than I. Now can you give thanks?" And it came to pass that the rich man and the poor man stood together before the altar. But lo, he who felt he had nothing worth to give thanks to God for, perceived in his heart whose riches were greater. And behold, his arms tightened upon the shoulders of his sons, his head bowed, and out of shame and envy that had been released by his richer brother, he gave thanks. That's the end of our story. Take a moment to thank our Lord for all of our blessings, even those challenges that are the blessings to us, getting us closer to Him and knowing how stronger we are for it. Even a burnt turkey dinner. Lord bless you. Have a great, wonderful Thanksgiving.